Welcome to my panelists. Make you guys co-hosts here.
Hey guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hi guys.
Hi Irene. Welcome.
Hey,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Thanks for being with us.
And Chris and Logan.
Yep. Ben was instrumental in forming the Merge PHP group, and so he's here too.
No idea where I fit in, but I'm here.
Yeah. Yep. And then so Bobby, we'll do introductions, but I'll go third, I guess. So, one of you decide to go first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, let's like give it another 5 minutes or a couple minutes.
Okay.
We're still a little short.
Do you want me to introduce Merge PHP as well, or are you gonna do that in your slide deck?
Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, because usually the first person does that. Yeah, go ahead and then just explain how the YouTube system works.
Got a new co-host this week.
Well, a puppy.
Ah,
That's pretty cute. What kind of dog is it?
He's a lab. He's 8 weeks. He's trying to eat my hand right now.
Very cool.
Ben, you're back down
You're
south
off about
again, right?
twice this week in the middle of meetings, like trying to fight with my power strip.
Uh-oh.
Ben, you're back in Alabama or Georgia now, or I lost track of it again.
Yeah, I'm in Columbus and we bought a house, so we're here to stay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Now people are arriving. Ugh. I wonder if does my Q&A still? No. I have to redo the Q&A thing. Or no, I was polling. Start the poll now.
Can I not participate because I'm an organizer?
I don't know. Can you guys vote? Anyone else vote? I can't vote.
Yeah, I don't have an option or any other time we've seen polls, I haven't had the option to do it.
Boo. All right, I think maybe another minute or so we can get started. We've got a handful of people on YouTube and a good amount here in Zoom.
Just make sure I can present. Logan, do you need to hit record or do you do that outside of Zoom?
Thank you for reminding me because I have been late on hitting record the last few months. Yeah, so I'm doing that now. Record to cloud. Okay, voice.
Just here it is. Everybody see my screen?
Yes.
I assume that means you can hear me too. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Bobby Cahill. I'm the lead organizer of Boston PHP, and you are here at Merge PHP, which is a joint effort to bring our meetups to the community virtually during the pandemic. It's made up of Austin PHP, Atlanta PHP, and Boston PHP. Those of you who know me know I guess I just said that. I'm from Boston PHP, and I got a little presentation to just give you a quick introduction. This is basically a slightly modified version of the intro presentation we give at our meetups. Before I do that, we have, Logan, do we have a link to the YouTube?
Oh, yeah. So normally somebody asks a question in the Q&A, and then we'll post a link to the YouTube. Or you just go Awesome Tech Videos on YouTube, and it should be like live now. So either of those ways. We'll get the link posted.
Okay. So as far as Boston PHP goes, here's a quick background. Our basically base is on meetup.com. It's on meetup.com/Boston PHP. That's the recommended way. That's where you can go to RSVP and get like the details of how to get to the events and everything. We also post on Twitter under Boston PHP. Facebook, we have a private group on Facebook that you can join, and LinkedIn, we also have a private group. And we announce on all those platforms whenever we have a meetup. We've been around since 2002. A guy by the name of Mark Withington started it up, and it was just like 4 or 5, 6 people in like a library or a coffee shop or whatever for the first, I don't know how many, couple of years, I think. And it slowly grew over time. We've since had 200. So this number is not, I don't know how accurate it is because it's impossible to get the actual number off of Meetup since they redid their website a couple of years ago, but it's something like 282. That's how many meetups we've had. We had, of the last time I updated this, we had 3,835 members. And this is what we focus on. Education, as in like learning how to program type education from the ground up. Idea sharing, which is the education you do after you get your other education. And then open source. And just the open source and the community in general, PHP and open source communities. We do that through in-person meetups, self-study groups, and now, no longer new, but now virtual meetups. The virtual self-study groups, I will mention, I think I have a slide for it. If not, I'll just mention it towards the end. But to contact, if you have any questions about the events themselves or just general questions about Boston PHP, you can contact myself And Gene, well, you can contact me for the events and general stuff on the Meetup site. Just go to meetup.com/BostonPHP, and there should be an option to contact the leadership team, or you can find my name, contact me directly if you prefer that. And then if you have any questions about our virtual self-study groups, you can talk to Gene Babin. We don't have any upcoming events this time, but the 26th anniversary of PHP was on June 7th. I think there's some conflicting info online. Some people say it's the 8th, some people say it's the 7th. I didn't have time to figure out which one was right, but yeah, PHP turned 26 a few days ago. Yeah, and before I do the get to the presentation, virtual self-study groups, I'll try to give a quick summary. We started, Gene came up with the idea, I don't know how many years ago now, probably like 5 years ago, that we used to run in-person meetups every month, and once a month, and it'd be like 2 to 3 hours once a month. We're networking, learning new things about PHP, software development, whatever. And what do you do for the other 62,000 hours of the month? I'm making that number up. I don't remember how many hours there are in a month. But you either go home and you forget about it, or you whatever, and you don't necessarily apply it, or if there's maybe other things you want to learn, and how, like, what's a good way to spend that time. And Gene's proposal was to have a virtual self-study group where the way it works is we have an event on meetup.com, and that's like, say, one of them is called Agile Appetizer, and it's basically learning how to use Agile. And there will be a captain that's selected to kind of moderate, and anyone can join. It's free, and you join the event, and the moderator or the captain will pick out a book to learn the topic. If it's like PHP, Agile, there's like, I think there's like 12 topics we do now. And you go through like a chapter a week, or there's some predetermined schedule that you kind of go through the chapters on your own and post exercises, and then people help each other out online. And it's kind of like a semi-synchronous, sort of asynchronous way of learning, but still being able to help each other out and learn together. And it's been effective for a lot of people. There's a number of people who have gone through multiple courses because they learn so much or whatever. So if you're interested in checking that out, we post them on the Meetup site when we do. And we post them as an event, and you just have to join. You have to RSVP before the event starts, and then you'll be on the list, and someone will follow up with you, or you can get more information through the forums or the comments in the event. That took way longer than I thought it was going to take. So tonight's presentation is I'm going to let Logan give like the actual introduction, but we're really excited that Irene volunteered to speak tonight, and we're looking forward to hearing about it. Chris, are you next?
We can certainly go. 1 second. Okay, well, I think most people may know me. I'm Chris Brook, organizer of Atlanta PHP. Just a couple brief things to mention. Advancing the slides correctly here. What's going on? Okay. We'd just like to recognize Variux.com, our video sponsor. I'll mention more about that in a second. David Edmondson runs a local Magento integration and other development kind of shop, and he's been a long-term member and a long-term supporter of Atlanta PHP and sponsoring our video archive. So we just wanted to appreciate him and recognize that. We have we're on Meetup, of course, and as well as our own custom domain, atlantaphp.org. Just like to mention, we have a Google group for discussion and job postings, as well as our video archive. I should probably put another slide up for that, but next to our forum tab, we have our video. We've got our meetings recorded all the way back to 2012. I think actually Ben here was the second one we ever posted. So if you want to see Ben from 8 years ago, go check it out. Also, we're in the JetBrains user group program. So the what is they give away free 1-year licenses to any IDE, and you can stack them on a current subscription if you want. And so I have 3 remaining. I keep forgetting to do them at these meetings. So I've now have 3 licenses to raffle off, essentially. So the first 3 people to email me, Chris at atlantaphp.org, I will send you the license details. So that's all from here. So thanks again, Irene, for being here with us, and let Ben take it away, or Logan.
Thanks, Chris. I'm glad you added a slide. That's good for the giveaway stuff. I think that helps.
That'll make me remember it month to month instead of having them be like, oh man, I got 3.
Yeah.
They start nagging you if they don't get used up. So that's what also prompts me to let's just do 3 at once and get them over with.
Right. Get them all lined up there. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Logan Lindquist with Austin PHP. I've been organizer for Austin about 10 years now. We have been around since 2002. I think our anniversary or birthday, whatever, of the group is in November. That's coming up. So we're definitely got to plan some big party or something. We might start doing in-person stuff here, but definitely committed to the virtual stuff, like hosting things with Chris and Bobby. So look forward to more of that stuff. A little bit about the Meetup group here. So on our events, just wanted to call out a few things here. Austin started hosting a PHP conference or a regional conference a couple of years ago. We skipped a year because of COVID, but it is definitely happening again this year in October. And if you want to come visit Austin in October, we're very generous speaker package and June 30th. So get those talks ready and go to cfp.longhornphp.com and send us an email with your talk suggestion. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you're interested in speaking at the meetup, if you click on this link, it opens a form, and when you fill out that form, the email goes to the 3 of us. So that's a good way to just show your interest. Of course, there's many other ways to get a hold of the organizers, so that always works. But wanted to make sure everyone is aware of that. And then we have a Slack channel, Austin PHP chat, our very awesome website that's hosted on GitHub. Looks like that. And just click the link there and you can join our Slack channel or our Slack group, whatever. And let's see what else. Oh, something new that added in the last little bit. If you like us on LinkedIn, I started posting stuff on LinkedIn, like events and stuff. And we're huge on LinkedIn. We're just got thousands of employees. So definitely check us out on LinkedIn. And let's see what else. Talk about founders. Oh, so I started a Medium publication last year. We're on issue number 30. This is not tied to my company stuff or trying to make it a community-run organization thing. So if you're interested in writing about PHP or DevOps, it's just Medium/PHP Ops. So definitely check that out on Medium. Yes. Okay. So that's enough about my stuff here. Let's go back to the talk. I connected with Irene a while back on LinkedIn. We just got to talking. She's from Cameroon, but lives here in Austin. Really great and knows her stuff on Agile. I have enjoyed talking with her about Agile stuff. So I'm really looking forward to her presentation tonight. if you read some more about her background, she's got an interesting background, and I think we've got a lot to learn from her, and how she applies Agile in her daily life. So yes, I think everybody is like, you know, on a daily basis, you think about like, you know, the stuff that we do, and you're like, okay, you know, but you don't really understand why we do it. So I think she'll hopefully fill in some gaps for us all. And yep, there's definitely a lot to learn. So yep, with that being said, I think we'll swap it over to Irene, and she can take it away.
Thank you so much, Logan. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Chris and Ben. Bob, I see Bobby, but I said Bob because it seems like all the names are short. So I hope you don't mind, Bobby. That all right. You guys, good evening, and everybody else in the panel. I'm so excited to be here today. Logan has been talking about this forever, and I finally. I'm so honored to have the opportunity to come and share with you guys today. Again, like he mentioned, my name is Irene Mangem. Mangem is my African name. I was born in Cameroon, West Africa. So can I share my screen now, Logan? I guess you have to.
Yep. Yeah, I can stop sharing, or
Okay.
you can just take over.
Thank you. Let me know when you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
It makes our faces bigger when I stop sharing, so you know, that's okay. Yeah.
I want to see your faces anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go back to the slides. You see my slides?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk face to face with you guys, but I'm going to share screen for a minute too, okay? So again, like I said, my name is Irene Mangem, originally from Cameroon. I'll give you a little background about myself before I go into our topic, using Agile to run my life. I use it to run my life. I use it as a career. To me, it's just become my way of life. And I'll tell you how in the course of this presentation. So I was born in Cameroon in a village called Bamumbu. And this village, I'll tell you one thing about my village. Early marriages are encouraged. So your father looks for your husband as early as 10 years old. So by 10, I had my first widow. They chose this guy for me. He had already 4 wives, and he was looking for number 5, and my father thought I would be a perfect gift. So they came to make the arrangements, and they told me about it. And for some reason, I'm the first child in my village to say, no, I don't like him. So it's not a topic. You never tell your parents you cannot do what they're saying, especially with a culture where that is money that the groom is going to bring into the bride's family. So girls are grown like this is our inheritance. That's how the parents, when they give birth to a girl, the parent looks at it like this is my money coming in. So when I refused the first one, I ended up getting away with it. I just refused. I'm not going there. And they brought the second one, brought the third one. And by 13, it was about 7. And I kept saying no. So by 13, I figured if I just get my own boyfriend, maybe they'll accept. So I got a boy my age. Like I said, I like this guy, but it didn't work out. They said he doesn't have money to pay us bride price. He has no future and all of that. So my parents kicked me out. First of all, they locked the guy up and beat me up and tried to scare me from him. And I refused their own suitors. And so they kicked me out. By 14, I was homeless. Homelessness in Africa is very different. I'll come back to the screen for a minute. Homelessness in Africa is very different from homelessness here because we don't have social services. You're homeless, you're homeless. My case was especially strange because my father made sure that the whole family kept me away. That means my father is one of the head of the families, and if I kick my daughter out, you take her in, you're in trouble. So I was not allowed to go to family. So I started going through friends. I'll go to a friend's house, visit in the afternoon, and then I told the parents, I'm going away in the evening, and then I'll sneak back in, and then she'll hide me. I have so many friends like that. They'll hide me. I'll go sleep in their room, and then I'll hide in the morning. The parents go to work. I come out like I just came back, and I kept doing that. And then sometimes they find out and kick me out and find the next one. After a period when I was like 16, 17, I started dating. I figured that this parental thing isn't working well. So I started dating, and I would just date a guy just because I wanted to find a place to sleep. So I dated a lot, and then I got raped a lot. Like I cannot count. Sexual abuse, I cannot count. Literally can't count it, because it was like, it almost became normal to me, because it's like, that's the price I have to pay for a place to sleep, and you never know. So I went through all of those things. I wasn't allowed to see my mom. My dad made sure that she has nothing to do with me. And so we would sneak. So we don't have cell phones back then. So I would send somebody go tell her, and then we would meet somewhere like years, like we'll meet like every 3 years, or at least more than 2 years. I'll figure out a way to see her, and then we'll meet. When we meet, we just cry. She just starts crying. She's the third wife to my father. She's the third wife. The second one, she's the second wife, and the third one is our best friend. So she's already having a lot of drama, beatings, and all of that. So I just figured, don't balk her. She's already going through a lot. So we'll cry, and then she'll tell me, I don't know why your dad is doing this to you, but she just has no choice. And because my dad threatens to kick her out if she sees me. So we just hide, see, and then I go my way, she goes her way. But after about 6 years of homelessness, I got the worst news. She died at 39. She got married very early, of course, right? Arranged marriage too. So when she died, no, she was sick. And then somebody told me that she was sick, and I sneaked, went there. And then I met her 2 days before she died. And she told me 3 things. She said she heard that I was physically abused by a guy. She heard that they're beating me. Somebody gossiped that she told me, leave that guy or else he'll kill you. She told me about find God, find some purpose in your life. You have to find something like this. There has to be something out there for you. You can't just be frustrated your whole life. Find God, find something, a higher purpose, find something. And I didn't know what the heck that meant. And then she told me that if I ever make it in life, I should treat my dad really nice. I should forgive my dad. I was pissed off now. Like, I'm thinking, this guy, are you talking about what happened to you? Like, we were on the same side. So I was really pissed at my mom. So I left that day, and then she died 2 days after. When she died, that's when I started trying to commit suicide. I was like going through this mental, because she was like the closest person to me, even though I didn't see her. I had that connection with her. Like she doesn't have a choice. Do you understand? So that was the one person I felt I had somewhere, and this person is gone. So it was empty for me. So now her last words were ringing, but didn't make sense for a while. So what I was trying to do is just commit suicide so you can just go. It's no use, And I tried the pills. I tried to just take over those pills, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out. For some reason, I end up at the hospital and I'm well. I tried cutting my wrist with a knife, and I couldn't do it to the end. I just started and like, I can't do it. I don't have the guts to really see the blood oozing out, and then I'll stop. So I tried several ways to kill myself. I starved myself for a while, and then I got so hungry. I ate. So after a while, I decided, you know what? I really want to do this. One day, I really felt like I need to just go. I need to figure out a way to just kill myself and go. This day, it would have happened. But while I was still thinking of the process, I was thinking, okay, take a rope, just tie your neck, and then do something, and then just strangle yourself. You're not going to see the blood and all of that. And as I was drafting my strategy, a thought came to mind. Your mom said, find a higher purpose. The only thing I knew at that time was that I go to a church. That was because before then I knew of churches, but I didn't believe in God like that, because I felt like, if there's a God, why am I suffering? Like, my friends are in school, they have parents. Why am I suffering? So I had all this. I just hated the idea of this, a God. And so why am I just born to suffer? So, but I said to myself, what about before I die, because I felt like maybe if I die, I'll see my mom, I'll meet my mom somehow. So I said, before I die, I meet her, and she starts asking me, why didn't you do the things I told you? Let me just go do some of them, right? So the first thing I did, I went to the guy and I said, my mom told me before dying to leave you. I didn't want to leave him because he was the one guy that I told you when I was younger, I wanted to marry and they refused, right? I still liked him. So I was like, he said we should separate. And that was because you beat me up, or, you know, she heard this thing. And I was looking for him to promise me something that would make me feel like you're never going to do that again so you can please my mom. But he told me you're frustrated. He told me your mom told you that she's gone. Why do you care about the debt? That's actually what made me separate from him, because I felt hurt that he's calling my mom the dead and that I didn't have to listen to her. So I actually really left him, because, and then he told me that he has a key of my life in his hands and he can open it whenever he wants. And that was kind of true, because no matter what I did, I came back to him because he opened the door for me to sleep, basically, even if he abused me. So, but when he said that, I was really challenged. So I told him, okay, I'm going to just go my way, you go your way. But I obviously probably would have come back if things didn't turn out differently, but I mustered the energy to say, go somewhere else. Then there was a church that my mom used to attend before she died. So I decided I'm going to find the branch of that church in my city and go there and try to find this purpose. You know, I didn't even know what I was doing. I said, I'm just going to go there. I didn't mean it. I was just like, just go there, and then you can tell her later that you did all the things when you die. So I went to that church. I think that's what changed my life. It wasn't because of God. I wouldn't say that. It was because that I saw people who were focused on something, right? They believed in something and they felt like it was working for them. And then for me, I started saying, maybe if I believe in something, maybe that's my own purpose. If I believe in something, then I can focus on getting that something. So that's my ideology about when I first went to church. I saw people were so focused on something. So I started asking myself, I've been all my life just wandering from place to place, not really thinking of what I'll eat, what I'll dress, but I think there's more than that, you know? And I'm getting angry that my dad is not taking me in and doing all kinds of stuff, dating men for money. At this stage, I was dating men for money. So I was like, maybe I should focus on something. Maybe I should go back to school. But now, how do I go back to school? So that day, I met the pastor's wife because they noticed I was a visitor. So they were asking me questions. So I just told them I'm homeless. I said, I'm homeless. I like my life to be better, but this is it. I just don't have any means, anybody. And they took me in. They took me into the house. Cut a long story short, a year later, I stayed with them. A year later, I met a pen pal online. They sent me to a computer school. I met a white guy from Germany. We started pen pal. And before you know, he was like, I'm visiting Cameroon. I want to come to Cameroon. You want to be my tour guide? I did. Then when he was going back, I stayed with my friends when he came so that I can go show him the town. So when he was going back, one of my friends gossiped that as you're going back, we don't know where she's going to go because she's homeless. So I didn't know I was playing as if I was fine. When he left for Germany, he wrote me the next day and he sent me about 250 euros. That was like millions in my mind, right? And he says, go look for a place. Once I took this money, I was like, this is crazy. Like I was confused. Then I reached out to him. He said, you're so nice. You shouldn't be homeless. Go look for a place. Tell me your plans. I will help you. So that's how my life changed, because a year later, he helped me. He took me to Germany. So I went to Germany 2001. My mom died 2001, March. I was in Germany. Like it literally my life just flipped. When I went to Germany, it was like a fish out of water, straight out of 7 years of homelessness. And then entering a plane, I didn't even believe it. I was sitting in that plane like 6 hours flight. I was thinking, I never thought I could even be in a flight. It doesn't even make sense that I'm in some flight going somewhere. I didn't even know where I was going. I didn't even know the guys so well, period. And for me, I had already missed dying so many times that going somewhere strange wasn't a problem. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Germany. I don't care what happens there. At least it's a new start for me. You're right. So when I reached, when I was on the plane, that's when something hit me real big. I think that's where the whole transformation happened for me. I sat on the plane and I realized the plane kicked off, and I'm thinking, is this a dream? Because the days up to my flight, I felt like something will happen and I would end back up on the streets. It just felt like it was a dream. But then I entered that plane, I sat there and I was like, okay, this is real. I'm going to Germany, it's in the air, I'm going somewhere. And I just sat there and I said to myself, if I go here and make it, then there has to be a reason why whoever or this God or what favor I'm getting, there's so many people are left on the street. Why me? I left so many nice girls that I know are homeless. I know they're good people. And I said, why me? Why me? So that's when I said, it has to be for a purpose. It has to be so that I can come back and help somebody. So I just made a promise to myself. I said, if I could go there and make it, that means that I was going to go back to help the other people I left back there. That was my promise. And that gave me peace. So I went to Germany, learned the language, started working because I couldn't even do anything, but I wanted money. I wanted to work. I want to work, do something for myself. So I started working. And then 4 years in Germany, I met a pen pal from America. This one was a love interest. He now says, I want to see you in person. I'm coming to, no, he invited me here. And I said, no, I don't want to move to another country. I just moved to Germany 4 years ago and I settled. I don't want to keep my life like that. So I'm done. So he said, I'm coming to Germany. So he came to Germany. When he came to Germany, I actually fell in love with him. Like, for some reason, I was just like, for the first time I fell in love with somebody. I'm like, wow, I love this guy and he treats me nice. And so he invited me now to the US. I said, okay, then I'll come. So I came to the US. When I came to the US, what I saw was that I had a chance of studying in English because he kept telling me, go back to school, move here, go back to school. I'm like, no, I've never been to high school. I wouldn't even know where to start. He said, but if you come here, you can start from wherever. I said, okay, but I don't want to move. So I went back to Germany, but the love was strong. The love bond was strong. And then I started missing him. And then I started thinking, then he made a plea. He told me, I'm going to move to Germany if you don't want to move to me. I was like, no, you can't speak German. You can't just do that. So now that's what moved me to the United States because I said, okay, if I really love this guy, I can speak English. Why not move to him? So I said, I'll try. I will come to you, stay for a while, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to Germany. So that was the deal, but I never went back. I never went back. So I arrived in the United States, May of 2005. This guy already had a plan for me to go to school. I still have the email he sent to me. He said, this is a list of GED schools around Cleveland. I came to Cleveland. He says, register for one of them. I said, I've never been to high school. That's for high school dropouts. I've never been to high school. He says, you're smart. When I met you, you're very smart. I'm like, I'm street smart. That's what I am. But I don't think about this book thing. It just wouldn't work. He said, Irene, just do it for me. You're smart. Try it. If it doesn't work, leave it. So I registered for ABLE program in Cleveland. And then when I went there, I was so insecure. So I told them that I was a high school dropout. Now that was a challenge because I'm just insecure to tell them that I've never been to high school. They're only looking at me like, so I told them that I was a dropout. And then I started the classes. Surprisingly enough, I was in class with people who didn't care about where they were going with that education. They were like girls doing their nails, checking their hair. And I'm sitting there like, these are high school dropouts. I am old. So I don't have 2 years to waste with these chicks in class doing this. They care more about what they were wearing. So I was sitting there like, what can I do to fast forward this 2 months, 2 years? And so I went to my teacher and I told her, I said, you know what? I want to figure out a way that I can do this faster. Is there any way? He said, yes, you can you can always write your practice exam when you feel like you're ready. So the 2 years program is, it's slow, but you can always write your exam without needing the program. I said, no, I need the program, but can I self-study? Give me all the materials, give me everything I need. She did that. So cut a long story short, I passed, I started school June, and then I got married to this guy at the end of July. And then October, I got my GED. Before I got my GED, I went to Cleveland State. After my practice test, I wrote it, passed all the subjects. And then I went to Cleveland State. No, I wrote the GED, and then I went to Cleveland State University and said, I want to apply for college. I want to start October 7th. GED is coming out October 4th. So I didn't tell them that part. I just said, I want to apply. So I did all the application with this lady, and only to find out at the end that I don't have a GED. She was so disappointed. I said, please put it on pending. Give me the slip to fill. It's coming. I know I'll pass. So that's how I got to Cleveland State October 7th. So I jumped into Cleveland State October, and then I quickly dropped out because I felt overwhelmed. Everything happened so fast. So like, never been to high school, passing this GED, now in college, like everything overwhelmed me. So I told myself, okay, I'll have to stop for a minute. So I dropped out that October, and then I started asking myself, okay, you're in college, right? What are you going to do in college? I can't be making mistakes now, because when I started as a nurse. Like everybody I knew was doing nursing. So, but I know that I'm very emotional. I wouldn't be in any hospital trying to help nobody because I'm very emotional. It was not going to work, but I just wanted to do what they were doing. But then when I stopped, I told myself, guess what? I have to do something I like. So I studied communication with a major in film. The reason is I started thinking, I'm going to go back to Africa to help these people that I promised myself I would do. I want to tell stories. I want to tell stories like mine. I want to tell my story. I want to do visual storytelling. And I went back to school again and got my, the next spring, I started Cleveland State. By the end of Cleveland State, I started a production studio in Cleveland called Darren Hope Studios. I was doing a lot of commercials. I was working for Cleveland Public Theater, filming their things. I hired my teacher, my film teacher to come work for me. So I did a lot of things. But then one thing was very prominent for me. The end of Cleveland State, I was getting ready. I graduated and I had a great GPA, and I said, go to law school. Everybody was like, you're going to make a great lawyer. So I was actually sitting in a law class. I did the LSAT, and then I sat in a law class, and then I asked myself again, why am I being a lawyer again? Just because I felt like if I have lawyer Irene at the end of my name, it might make great sense. So I excused myself from that class, and then I went home, and then I took a semester off again. And then I said, what do I really want to do with my life? So that's when a friend of mine was doing project management. They told me about project management. I started doing project management. I had since during college worked for several companies. So I worked for a Continental Airline as a manager of their President's Club. I worked as a flight attendant. I did a lot of jobs while doing my production studio. Then I decided to do project management. Once I finished project management, I found out about Agile from a friend who was an Agile coach too. I was just admirative about her life was. I worked Monday to Saturday. It was very tedious to me coordinating the project from beginning to end. It was just a lot going on. So when she told me about Agile and how it works, I was so intrigued. I was like, that's something that you can actually do in your day-to-day life. So that's when I got curious about Agile. I became a Scrum Master. I've since worked for National City Bank in Cleveland as a Scrum Master. I moved to Lyft. In Kansas City, Kansas. I moved to Houston, where I met my husband now because I got divorced from that guy before. I moved to Houston, worked at Baker Hughes, and then moved to Austin, where Logan is right now. I work for Texas Department of Transportation as an Agile coach. And then I later worked for 3M. And then from 3M, I got hired by Treehouse, where I am now. So at Treehouse, all this Agile coach and Agile consulting, all of this, to me, it boils down to one thing, just serving, being a servant leader. It's the whole Agile thing. I am not in any way very technical, but I believe in creating a fun environment for people to thrive. So that's just a little bit about my background. There's so many details that I could share with you, but I'm going to go back to my presentation because I want to share with you my journey now on, okay, from all of these things, what is this Agile about and how do I now use it to even run my life? So let me start share again. So what I'll cover for the rest of this is project management methodologies and their frameworks. I'll just give you an overview of that. Why are companies going Agile, the Agile methodology, when is a good time we should use waterfall, the old way of managing projects, Agile versus Scrum, Kanban, how I use Agile in my personal life, and then I'll have you do some question and answer. So Logan, how we do with time?
It was a little bit of a long intro, but I think we're okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I want to introduce to you is this diagram that I had my husband create for me, because when I started learning Agile, I was kind of overwhelmed with what was happening in the whole industry. Like, I didn't know what Agile was. I didn't understand what Scrum was in relation to Agile. I didn't understand all of these things. So I just want to give you an overview. Since most of you guys are developers or in the tech world, I think that is very important for you guys to know why these companies are going Agile and why now you're now kind of push into an Agile environment versus the old way of managing projects. So we'll break it down a little bit so you can understand where it's coming from and where we're going. Now, it's very important to know the things on this diagram. Why? Because if you don't know, you're just going to be like, hey, like me when I started, like, where does this waterfall fall? What's going on? What is S-stream programming? How is it related together? So let's start. All of these are project management methodologies and framework. It's not all of them, some of them, right? So it first started with waterfall. We know about the waterfall mindset. The waterfall mindset is that rigid mindset. It's like where products are developed from one phase to another. We start with gathering requirements. We go to analysis. We go to designing. The architects design them. We develop them. We test them. So it's more like the traditional way where we're actually doing contracts. You know, you give me a contract for 6 months. I have to do these steps, and at the end of the 6 months, I deliver the contract to you. And now, what is happening with that methodology? What happened before people started thinking of creating a newer methodology? What was happening is projects or companies felt like they didn't have a real say. You know, this thing we talk about, customer eccentric. We say it a lot, but we don't do it a lot. So with waterfall, once you have these contracts given and they're going through these processes, they were not flexible to changing. They were not, if the customer comes back in the middle of the project and wants to change their mind, it wasn't a flexible thing happening. So it's always like that we have to renegotiate the contract, then they'll lose some time and then they'll lose some money. So and we all know that there's a lot of changes happening around the world, and people need to be flexible, especially with how products are managed, because things are changing a lot. So waterfall Agile was started to kind of bridge that gap and include the customer in this framework. So what happens is with Agile, the customer is knitted into the work. So if he gives that very contract, what's happening is he is part of the development. So he gives input as we go. So we're delivering incrementally in short time box periods, and then we're delivering that software. So a team would come together. We're doing the work in short time box periods. We deliver the work to the customer. He gives us feedback. We implement the feedback, and then we pick up the new work and we keep going. We're very flexible to change too. When anytime he changes his mind, I'll give you an example when I use it to run my life. A practical example. If anytime the customer changes his mind, we are very flexible to pick up that work, reprioritize it, and then deliver. So the customer became centric. That's why most companies are now moving to Agile. Now, it's very important to note this. Let me go back. It's very important to know this, that waterfall still has its place. This Agile is good for projects that are complex, whose requirements change more often. So, but waterfall is good for projects that you already know all the requirements up front, every budget is sourced out, everything is ready to go. So waterfall still has its place. So some companies are still using waterfall, and there's still a time to use waterfall. However, Agile has taken precedence over waterfall because of its flexibility and putting the customer centric. Now we've talked about methodology. Now under this Agile, everything you see here is frameworks that are adopting the Agile mindset. So you see here, I talk about being. This Agile thing is a mindset change. It's not saying we're just going to do it as a job. It means that we're going to be it. And I'll tell you a little bit as we go down what it means to be Agile. So Scrum is a way of being Agile. Scrum is a framework that adopted a lot of what Agile is preaching and then decided to fine-tune it to do its own thing, but all under Agile. Feature-driven development, Crystal, these ones are all frameworks under Agile. SAFe is scaling Scrum to use it for bigger projects, bigger companies. Now, S-stream programming is a technique, an Agile technique tool that we use to produce quality projects. We're going to learn a little bit about Kanban today too. And then Lean, Less, there's so many of them, but these were the ones that I just thought I should share light on. So I talked about why companies are going Agile. I mentioned, to reiterate, that companies are going Agile because the customer is now centric. A team advantage is used. We're making sure that teams work together, they catch problems faster, we collaborate with the customer, we deliver in shorter increments, and then we implement feedback, and then we take the new work and continue moving. And we're very flexible to change. At any time there's any newly injected work or changes happening, we're very adaptable and courageous to pick up that new work and deliver for the customer. So now, the Agile methodology. This is the Agile manifesto. The Agile manifesto is just, I call it the Agile Bible, for example. I just call it the Agile Bible. This thing is pregnant, even though it's just a few lines, but it's really pregnant and it states everything that Agile is all about. We say the first one is the left-hand side is the Agile methodology comparing the waterfall, the right-hand side. So the first thing Agile was saying is that individuals and interactions is over processes and tools. This is direct comparison. So in Agile, it's a teamwork, people collaborating, working together in that short time box period over processes and tools. In waterfall, what is happening is that we're going through one process, finishing the process, going through another process, and it could be very silo. It could be some department doing something that independent of another department. So we have a working software over comprehensive documentation. So in the Agile environment, when these individuals come together and work in short time box period over, we call some of those sprints or iterations, what they deliver to the customer is called a working software, or we have other names, minimum viable products or MVP. We deliver this to the customer, who gives us feedback, and we implement the changes in the next cycle. Meanwhile, in waterfall, when one stage is finished, there's comprehensive documentation written about what has been done and then sent to the next phase. So, and then in Agile, again, I mentioned a lot about customer collaboration. There's customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So if there's any new changes coming, if the customer doesn't like anything, we collaborate to make sure that we're still meeting their priorities. Over in waterfall, if there's any change in the plan, then we're going to have to renegotiate the contract, and the customer usually loses time and money. Responding to change. I mentioned change. Change is one thing that Agile holds so highly, and responding to change has made many companies so happy, because when change happens, they don't lose, or they don't lose a lot. They can adapt to the change, and then the teams are ready in an Agile environment to pick up the newly injected work and deliver. While in waterfall, again, if that plan is broken, then a lot of things are broken for the customer. So like I mentioned, this whole thing is pregnant. if we break down only individuals and interaction and the advantage of working as a team, the fact that individuals can brainstorm together, share skills together, create a culture of collaboration, self-organizing, cross-functionality. It's just, we can talk the whole day on just one of them. So it's very important that you understand that on this slide, Agile is winning over Waterfall, especially for complex projects, projects whose requirements are constantly changing. So a team comes together, we work in a short time box period called sprints. We deliver a working software to the customer who gives us feedback, and we implement the feedback, we pick up the new work and continue delivering. And then we are very flexible to change. We are very courageous to pick up new work and deliver. Then again, just to give you a overview picture why most companies will adopt Agile for alignment. They want to align their work. They want to make sure that there are no duplicates happening somewhere else. So when Agile teams are working, they work in a transparent environment where everything is organized. They have a framework where everything is so organized, so much so that alignment is easy to have. They build quality products, because we're building products, we're building in smaller increments. We have the tendency of checking for the quality and delivering the most quality products. We have the tendency of, because we're giving the customer this work to review before we make the final changes, we have the tendency of delivering more quality products. We work in a transparent environment. Everything we do in an Agile environment, the backlogs, everything that carries our work, everything is open and transparent. The way we do our work is transparency. We do it in a transparent environment so that we can catch problems as they happen. We can support each other as we move along. Execution. That's one thing that actually happens in an Agile environment. We plan our work in short time box period. It could be a month or less sprints. If it's a 2 week sprint, which is an ideal sprint, we plan our work for 2 weeks. We execute, we actually go to work to make sure that we do this work. Why is that important? When you set smaller goals and they're clearer, it's not like you don't even know what will come the next week. You know exactly what you're working on. You're working on what is known and not what is unknown. And as we're going forward, we're defining and refining the product and knowing exactly what we're doing, and then picking up a small work. So we're actually executing, versus in a waterfall environment where sometimes just gathering the requirement could take months and months and months and months. So the customer in an Agile environment gets a return on investment real fast in the process. Even if it's a non-working functionality, at the end of the day, it's going to be integrated, right? But he gets some return on investment for his money every time we're working in sprints. So is there a time where we should choose Waterfall over Agile? Yes, I did mention that. Waterfall is still most companies use it still, but Agile, most of them are moving to Agile. I've worked for many companies where they're in transition. Some of them still have teams that are working in Waterfall, and most of them are transitioning into Agile. So Waterfall has its place. Some companies might never even go to Agile, just to let you know. If I had personally, I love Agile. But if I had a project whose requirements were well known, I had the money, I had the resources, the technology was not going to change on me. If I was so sure that I've mapped out this thing and nothing is going to change, then I would want to use Waterfall, because it would be also faster. So, but my preferred methodology is Agile, even though Waterfall still has its place. So there's some companies who are still Waterfall and it's working out for them. So I don't want to talk too good about Agile and then bash Waterfall. I'm not. I love Waterfall, but Agile is my preferred methodology. So Agile versus Scrum. So like I mentioned to you, Scrum is one of the prominent Agile framework. So it's an implementation of Agile, and I'll just give you a few tips about Scrum. Scrum took what you call the Agile manifestos, and it's really practicing that. It's also a team that comes together, works in short time box period. We call them sprints. We do the work, we deliver a working software. It's what Scrum adopted. It adopted most of the Agile manifestos and it's implementing. So Scrum is doing Agile, a way of implementing Agile, and it's very prominent in companies. And with Kanban, Kanban is also prominent, and we discuss Kanban in a few. So some pillars of Scrum are transparency. I'm sorry, I saw a typo here. We work in a transparent environment. We give our work for inspection, and then we adapt the changes. It just sounds to me like it's adopted Agile very well. We have Scrum values. This is one of the things that made me just love Agile, because I realized that my life, or what I aspire to be, was all embedded in these values. So for the first time, I have a career where the values, what it stands for, the pillars, I love it. I want to use it for my own life. So this one, we're talking about courage, flexibility to change, picking up new work, delivering, focus. When I was a Scrum Master, I was an Agilist. I help companies, I help my teams to focus on the goal. So focus on smaller goals towards the bigger goal. So even in my daily life, I know I have an end goal, but I'll focus on, okay, what can I do in 3 months? What can I do in 6 months? What can I do in 9 months? What are the pieces that I need to do to get to that goal? Because before Agile, I'll tell you, it used to be overwhelming. I'll have a project and I want to deliver something and I just don't know how to break it down and do it incrementally. Then I'll feel overwhelmed, like I will never make it. But Agile has helped me. I wish I could show you my screen. I put even my daily work in a to-do column. I have my board here, and then I'll put doing what I'm doing, and then I put done. I have my small backlog on top where I put all the things I want to achieve and the timelines I want to achieve, and the top priority up and less priority down. And I keep working and ticking that board and moving. So Agile, it keeps me focused. Then commitment. Once you're focused and you're committed on delivering a goal in a smaller period, then you're committed to your goals. Respect. I love this one. For everything about Agile, this is what really got me. The fact that we're coming as a team together, meeting people from all walks of life, meeting people from diverse cultures, ethnicities, and just being able to respect differences, respect cultures, respect ideologies, respect people for who they are. And to me, that was, I've never, for all the jobs I've done in my life, it was just going to work, just go work. But this one was something that I could really practice. And then as a return, I've seen that people respected me back because they realized that I respect where they come from. I respect their cultures. I'm open. And this, to me, this framework just helped me become a better person. Openness. I'm a very open book. Vulnerability is my name. So a team would work in an open environment, be vulnerable, be collaborative, and we become family, even though we come from all over the world. I've worked with teams in China, like my teams, some of my teams are in Treehouse are in China, some of my Scrum Masters are in India. It doesn't matter. We're just open and collaborative as a family, because if you respect people and you're collaborative together, self-organizing, what happens at the end is that people become like family. So this is one of the reasons why I got bought into Agile. So this is a typical framework of Agile, just to give you, for some of you who've worked in an Agile environment, you might know what I'm talking about. So the framework is very simple, but you could think it's complicated, but it's very simple. So these three things, product backlog, sprint backlog, and product increments, are artifacts. These are the holding containers for our work. So we plan our work. This is where the product owner or the product stays here. It's a list of requirements for everything about the product from top priority on the top down. So we're working according to priorities so we can meet the customer's satisfaction. Then this one, we pick our work from here. We do a sprint planning meeting where we plan the work, what we're going to be doing a particular short time box period or sprints. Then the work is put into this backlog by the product owner, where the developers break it into tasks, and we start working on it. This is called the sprint backlog. And then as a Scrum team, we do every day, we do a 15 minutes daily stand-up meeting where we're open to be accountable for what we're doing and for transparency. And so much so that if somebody's even absent, another person can pick up their work easily and do, because we're very transparent with how we work. We plan together, we deliver together. And then at the end of the sprint, we do a sprint review meeting where we demo our work. It's for our product owners and stakeholders to refine, to give us feedback. And then if anything is done well, it goes to the product increment, which is that shippable product or that return on investment that the customer gets. And then if something isn't done, he would take it, the product owner will take it back to the backlog and reprioritize it. After that meeting, we got a sprint retrospective. And this is also another favorite of mine. A team comes together every sprint, at the end of the sprint, and we discuss what went well, what didn't go well, what are some of the things that we should keep doing, what are some of the things that we should stop, what has worked for us, what has not. I feel like any time that you as an individual or a team can come together and have that candid discussion and have a safe space where you can discuss what is happening and how can I make changes and then adopt those changes and then implement it. I just think that can make a whole lot of difference. This is one of the meetings where teams really transform if done well. So again, I usually tell my teams, do not just go to retrospective, make actionable items and then forget them like we write New Year resolutions. No, let's write them, but actually implement them. And during the sprint as a Scrum or Agile person, I make sure that these actionable items are implemented. So Agile is very, very, very empirical. We're learning from our mistakes. We do something, we fail fast, we pick the lessons and go. And that applies to my life because that's how I've gotten to where I am today. I've fallen way too many times, but what gets me up is that small lesson that I pick up from every failure and say, okay, if I just done it like this, okay, I did this wrong. If I maybe I should try this next time. That usually gives me an urge to want to go try the thing that I did wrong another way. And to me, that's another thing about Agile that I just so love. Kanban is another Agile framework, and it's a technique where we use, in Kanban, it's kind of similar like Scrum, but we don't do sprints. We don't work in short time box period. So in Kanban, what we're doing continuous delivery. So we work on the work, right? We just deliver the work, we do testing, and we do integration. So in Kanban, it's used for projects whose requirements change too often, operations and management projects. So I, like my present engineering team at Treehouse, one of the teams I'm teaching Agile to, they have products like that where it's like the requirements change too often. So we cannot really even plan a sprint because management or stakeholders bring in requirements almost daily. So what I've taught the Scrum Masters to do, we created a Kanban board, just put your stuff as priority. So I did discuss with management, I had a meeting to teach them about intake process. So now they have an intake process where all the stakeholders or the end users or everybody was bringing in requirements to these teams are now sitting together to plan which one is a top priority or not, so that the team doesn't have to decide that. So once they do that and the product owner brings that and the program managers, they take that, they now prioritize it, they write their features and then break down to user stories and then bring it to the team. And then once we have a Kanban board, is prioritized from top bottom. Another thing that they had is managing injected work, newly injected work that comes in. I still taught them that bring it to the top. You guys discuss it before you bring it. You can bring also new work all the time. We're flexible. It's an Agile framework, but however, make sure that when you bring it to us, it should be prioritized so we can renegotiate down with the team and do what brings you the most value. So all of these frameworks is more about bringing value to the company, bringing value to the end users or the stakeholders. So Kanban is continuous delivery, continuous testing, continuous integration. And then this is the question that I wanted to ask you guys. How do I use it to run my life? I can tell you every area of my life is I use a Kanban board for my work, but I also use Scrum for emerged with Irene. That's something that I didn't tell you. I actually went back home after university. I went back home and I started a project called Emerge with Irene. Why did I name it Emerge with Irene? Because I had a feeling that I was not where I wanted to be when I left college, but I couldn't wait anymore. It's like the voices of girls on the street would just ring in my head. I would hear my friends. So I decided I'm going to go start something and start sponsoring some girls out of those streets like somebody did for me. And while I continue my journey in life. So I went back to Cameroon. I started with 6 girls. I picked up 6 girls on the street who were abused, rejected like me. I sent them back to college, and I challenged some of them who told me that they cannot go to school. They've never thought of going to school. They're too old for that. I challenged them. I shared my story with them. I told them I dropped out like 11 years, and I went and I made it. And the following year, 2 of them got their advanced level within a year, just like me. That set the fire off for me. I decided I'm going to do much more. So I started going back and forth. That's why I love my career in Agile, because I can work with contracts. I can work anywhere if it's a remote role. And so I started going to Cameroon back and forth. And what I did with Emerge was create a foundation, create a homeless shelter first that they can stay, because I realized that in my experience, if I had just had a place to stay and something to eat, then if somebody sent me to school, I could have the chance to concentrate. So that was the first thing I wanted to do for them. Give them shelter, give them accommodation and shelter and feeding, and then give them some basic allowance to take care of themselves. Then I can now say, hey, where do you want to go with your life? And that's what happened. Actually, this December, 2 of them are graduating from university. I've had them for 6 years now. 2 of them will be graduating this December. We've had a lot of success. We have 24 girls in the program now. Some have gotten married after they graduated college. And it's just been an amazing experience for me, because I feel like I'm picking Irenes on the street. But how do I use Agile to run that part of my organization? I use Scrum, and sometimes I do use Scrum and Kanban. Sometimes I decide we're not going to do a sprint, we're going to do just continuous delivery testing and integration. How do I apply that? We have a project, because I don't want to just give these girls money all their lives, right? So we have a project that we have a restaurant, and then we have a clothing line that some of them do tailoring. They sew some stuff, we deliver to customers. For the restaurant, we do delivery to big restaurants in the city. We will deliver like cakes, for example. We'll make cakes and deliver. So that is money that they use most of the time to buy extra things that I cannot afford for them. So they get paid as if they're working while going to school. So I will go to the slide, because I want to show you how we build with Kanban. So with Agile. So like I mentioned before, Agile is used for the most part to manage software development projects, but you can also use it to do anything in life. So this will be a good example where my team is using Agile to develop a cake. So we had a client, right? This client wants 4 cakes. They want to start selling cakes. So they said, we want to start selling I'm just going to use this for example for 4 months. We want to start selling 4 flavors of cakes for 4 months. Vanilla, chocolate, red velvet, and Logan, what's another cake? So vanilla, red velvet.
Tres leches.
What's that? Can you repeat
Tres
that?
leches. Tres leches. It's like milk, sugar, and cake.
So it's called tres.
Yeah, tres leches.
Leches.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to spell it, so.
Okay, I'm gonna just try to pronounce it. So we have vanilla, chocolate, red velvet. So this restaurant came to us and said, hey, we want to start selling that in 4 months, and we want you guys to produce us these cakes, right? So we're just gonna use that. So what I did with them is that I'll sit here, right, in America, and then I'll have a meeting with them, and I say, okay, in a waterfall environment, how would that work? It would say 4 months, we're going to give you all of the cake. We sign a contract with you, gather all your requirements, we bake the cake, we're going to give you the cake, right? For example. And then at the end of it, when we give them this cake, you hear things like customers saying, oh, this is not the shape I wanted. Okay, you said you wanted it round, but this is not the shape exact round. This is not, the sugar is a little bit too much, and all of those things. So there's so many complaints trying to build without collaborating with the customer. We should test the cakes, have them test the cakes before doing that. But we just decided we're going to do all the cakes and deliver, right? when the time box was over. So delivered all this cake to the customer, and the customer is like, that's not the size, that's not the thing. And now it was a total failure on that project because customer is not pleased. So even though they said, I want it sweet, they did not specify what kind of sweetness they were wanting it. So that's when I started telling my girls, I say, you know what you guys are doing is a waterfall mindset, right? We need to be able to involve the customer. So I lay it down. Most of them just know that we're doing something called agile, and this is the mindset of agile. So I said, let's do it this other way around. Your next customer, or you go to this customer before you repeat this process again, to satisfy this very customer, you have to do something different. So if you go to this customer and ask them, okay, within these 4 cakes, vanilla, chocolate, red velvet, and tres leches, okay? Which one is your top priority? Because what we can do is make one, you test it, and then you can start even selling it before we continue the other ones. You can already get some return on investment, however you want it. But which one is your top priority from first, second, third? We're going to start delivering that for you to test before we produce the bulk, so that we don't repeat the mistake again. So they were able to get the first priority. Let's say the first priority was tres leches, 1, and then red velvet second, then vanilla third, and then chocolate last. So as they were doing a tres leches, for example, the customer now came back and said, hey, I like it, but I need you to reduce the sugar a little bit. They did the reduction. They gave it for her to test it again. She tested it, and then she says, oh, I like it now. Then that's when they were able to produce the bulk for delivery. Then they went to the second one. Before even picking the red velvet, the second priority, they asked her, oh, are we still good to pick number 2 as red velvet? She said, oh, actually, I changed my mind. Chocolate has been in demand. So can you guys do chocolate first? They're very flexible and courageous to pick up that change and do it. And now they go now to reprioritization. Which one do you want next? I know you push red velvet. Where does it fall with vanilla? Then she can say vanilla or red velvet. So they kept changing and consulting with the customer. And then at the end, the customer was very satisfied, had other work to give them, other things to give them to produce. So what happened for them is that they realized that involving the customer on every step of the project, collaborating with the customer, getting feedback, implementing the feedback before delivering the next item was very fundamental, not just to the quality of the product the customer was looking for, but also that they were not just creating products that they feel okay, like, I like my cake sweet. You say you want sweet, I'll just make it sweet for me. No, it has to be value to the customer. So I kept nailing it on them. It has to be value for the customer. And I can tell you, my girls now, some of them have gone to business with that mindset. You go to business, I support you with the capital, and we use Kanban, we deliver, and you even have in your Kanban board when to pay me, because I loan you the money, and then you tell me you're going to deliver this, you're going to get this interest, and then at the end of the day, this is what I'm going to give you back. And for the most part, once they pay back that money, because I'm teaching them discipline, it goes back into their business. But I have to schedule that. Like, we have to schedule that. Okay, this is when you're paying, this is when you're paying, and then this is what you're doing to get this amount. And we're flexible to change. That means that it's not everything that is on paper that would eventually be done perfectly. So we fail, we make mistakes, and then we have a talk, we deliver. So every week with them, I have a talk on, you guys producing clothing. Where are we at? We come up with our backlog. We have a very normal backlog. We don't use fancy Jira or stuff. We just have a normal list of requirements from top priority down. Where are you, what to do, what are you doing now, and what is done. And then we keep moving. We keep giving ourselves, we have a WhatsApp group too. We keep giving ourselves daily updates. Daily updates, we don't do Zoom calls, but we come every day and you just write. We have a big time difference. So by the time I wake up, everybody has written, I'm working on this up today. I'm working on this up today. I'm working on this today. And then at the end of that time box period, we come in and say, okay, we're coming to deliver at us somewhat sprint review. This is what we've done in this time box period. This is what we're going to be picking up. We plan our work again and we continue. So you can use it in so many ways. I use it for personal stuff. I use it for 360 Agile because my husband and I own an Agile company. I use it for 360 Agile. It's a lot going on. Students coming in, students going out. I use it to just organize the things I have to do, what I'm working on, and what I have to deliver. Because to me, that's the only way that I can have peace and I can have focus in my life. So this last slide is the most important slide for me. Be agile, mindset change, being intentional. And I'll come to the screen to kind of explain what I mean by that. What does it mean to be agile? Be agile is actually just taking on this mindset and acting upon it. One thing I learned when I went to Treehouse, they felt like, because I'm helping them transition to agile, the engineering teams there were a little bit nervous because they've been doing their thing silo, right? Especially with remote, everybody has been comfortable doing their thing. So they just weren't prepared to come start being accountable. But then I realized that the approach of introducing Agile could scare somebody or it could actually buy them in. So I had the first one-on-one meetings with them. I had one-on-ones with all the members of this, a lot of them, and I'll just have 25 minutes and I'd share my story with you. I share my Agile story with you. And then I ask you to share your story, you share your story. I said, tell me one fun part about you that I don't know. We share that. And then we discover crazy things. But then the most part was that I introduced them to Agile. I said, you know what? This Agile is not a chore. This thing should be helping you do your work. It should be helping create a fun environment for you, right? I set the stage like it's actually a buy-in. It's not like something that we're coming to act on your job. It's not a job. This is stuff that you can implement. Ideologies, a mindset that you can implement. Be respectful. Let's build a team that is collaborative. Let's have fun at work. How about that? They're like, I never thought about it that way. I'm like, yeah, it's about fun. It's about creating. My job is to create a fun environment where you guys are respected. You guys, work is prioritized for you guys. I started sharing with them, like, you guys had a lot of work just coming at you at all directions and you're confused, right? I said, so I'm cleaning that up. Once I clean that up, you guys are going to be free to work. And now protecting you, I'm training the Scrum Master to protect you so that newly injected work coming your way, you're not confused whether you should please this boss or the next boss. You're actually focused on what your team is supposed to be delivering. And then if they bring you work, yes, we're agile, we're flexible, but then they're going to do what? Reprioritize and then bring it in a way that we can negotiate something out and something in. Oh, they were like, oh, we didn't think about that because we're going crazy. So every one of them started telling me that we're overwhelmed, we're pressured. I said, no. So Agile will actually protect you. Let's adopt this mindset of respecting one another, working as a team together, collaboration, self-organizing. Nobody is teaching you how to do your job. Cross trainings, that's one thing they're doing now. We already scheduled our first trainings because when we went to the team, I also saw that most of them did not have the right skill set to even do the work. So they're depending on one guy, Milo, who is a team lead, to do everything. And Milo is expected to also cover his work. So I said, hey, God, we need to cross-train. What about you, Milo? Milo was scared too because he's like, what is this girl going to come do to us? I'm the boss here. So when I could get Milo to get on board, I said, Milo, what about you're going to cross-train your team members to know some of the things you know so that the junior developers by next year are senior developers and you're the trainer. You train them. And then guess what, Milo? Then you can focus on being a team lead and getting this product from beginning to end, doing peer review, reviewing their codes to make sure that they're doing what you said. And then let's start these meetings. He was so excited. He scheduled his first cross training next week. And the way we did our cross trainings was like, we had a meeting, we went to the individuals of the team and said, hey, what area are you struggling with that you need to do this work? And everybody pointed out an area. So we have assigned skill sets within the team that are going to start doing cross trainings. So this Agile just in a couple of weeks, the team has become like, they feel like, oh, we needed this. We wanted to know each other, wanted to celebrate. We did team agreements and team norms, like, how do we celebrate fun? Look at one thing we did. We said, okay, Fridays, we're going to show up. No meetings Fridays. We're going to show up with whatever choice of the last hour of the day, which is whatever choice of drink you want to drink, and let's just chit chat for 1 hour. And they were so excited, like even alcohol, I said, even margarita, yeah. So they realized that this framework is not there here to kill us. This framework is actually here to help us be more in tune with what we're doing, be more focused, and be more respectful of one another. And we discussed even things within our team norms about how do we manage differences? How do we do that? We talked about that. If somebody needs help from you, how do you manage that? We made a 30 minutes, as a team, we made a 30 minutes rule that if you need help from another developer, if it's going to take more than 30 minutes, go to your Scrum Master, because they also need to deliver their portion of the work. So we came up with all these agreements with the team, and all of them are scattered all over the world. But then now we feel like we're one unit. So again, being agile is being intentional. It's deciding that I want to live my life. I want to abide by these beautiful principles of respecting one another. The agilists are trained to be servant leaders. That means we're coming there to serve you. We're not coming there to be bosses. We come there, we want to pull you together. Nobody's left behind. And we want to make sure that everybody, there's no very skilled developer we're honoring over an entry level. Everybody is being pulled together. We're leading from behind and not leading up front. So again, I want to say agile is a way to go. Agile is a methodology to go. Use waterfall when need be, but agile is the way of life. For your private life, for work life, you're going to get fulfillment. Thank you. So I will now let you guys ask me any question of your choice, be it over my personal life, be it over agile, be it some questions that you've heard about agile. Just give me any question, because what I was trying to do is to bring it to a layman point of view so that you can really understand it from ground up. So Logan?
Yes, that was a great, what a powerful story, Irene. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to put up the slide with your info here while we do the Q&A questions. Yep. All right. So I hope you all have some questions for Irene. It sounds like Agile literally changed your life. So I think we've got some interesting questions here to ask Irene. I always like to come up with a few. So I guess first of all, what is the name of the cake company there in Cameroon? Because I think the Cameroon Cake Company would be a great name.
Oh, I wish it was. They still call themselves the Emerging Sisters, and they just do projects under the Emerging Sisters.
Cool.
Yes.
Emerging Sisters.
We just started. We're building a school in Cameroon called the Pan-African Agile Academy. This is nice. Not teaching Agile. It's going to be teaching Agile to the layman, using Agile to teach business courses, training managers to adopt that mindset. People who are learning to become entrepreneurs, to adopt that mindset of flexibility, a mindset of prioritization, mindset of setting smaller goals and execution. So that's what we're doing. And then it's going to have tech degrees too, but we're going to be teaching you how to run with the Agile mindset and do whatever you need to do. So that's what the Pan-African Agile Academy is going to be about.
Awesome. I definitely, I remember meeting a few people from Africa that were, doing tech stuff in crypto and some other stuff. So I think you'll have a good, a lot of people that'll be interested in that. So the one Agile question that I guess that I had, like, in your experience is there a recommended team size that is like works best for Agile? Is it like, when you get to a certain point, is it like less effective the bigger the team is? Yeah.
Yes, I like that. It's typically an Agile team can be between 3 and 11. But the ideal team size, I'll say 5 plus or minus 2. No. So what that means is 3 to 11 people is recommended, but I've seen in most companies they'll have too many. What Agile is trying to train is if you have more than 11 people, then that individualistic, like getting to know people individually and reaching them where they are, it becomes harder as people increase. So I've noticed that 3 to 11 is ideal. If I go to a company with I've had a company that had 17 on one team, and my husband is an Agile coach for a company now, and he had teams that are 30, and he was trying to do one-on-ones. He barely could even just make it during his observation. So what he ended up doing is, let's do this. Let's group them in skill sets. Is it based on the projects, back end, front end, or full stack? If we have enough skill sets in one team, then if they can handle this project, we can group them in other teams, and different teams can handle other projects, or some of them can do maintenance, some of them. So it just depends on what the company wants to do. But I believe that having that interpersonal experience with every team member as an agilist is very important, because it's not just about working in an agile environment. We're coaches, we're mentors. So that means that if, Logan, you have a personal something that is disturbing you from doing your work, I sit you in my office, I make a Zoom call with you, and I want to hear that. It's more than just work. Because when you really care about people, it's not just about what you see. Some of the time, the things that they're facing at home is what affect them from work, from being productive at work. So companies need to start caring more about people as a whole. Work-life balance, it has to be balanced. So we're also coaching, mentoring, and just being there. So a very large team, after 11, you're starting to lose that
effectiveness. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, something early on, as a developer that you learn is, you have to break these complicated problems down into smaller pieces that are more achievable. And so, I think that is similarly being applied here. You have to kind of break the teams apart to be more effective. Cool. Let's see. Do we have any? So Q&A. We've got 2 places that you can ask Q&A here for Irene in Zoom, or feel free to ask a question in YouTube. And I guess, we have a poll going on. I'm going to end the poll here. 88% of the people are still using PHP 7 in production. So share results. Yeah. So everybody's still on PHP 7. I'm like asking that question every night because like PHP 8 came out in November, and I think it's slowly getting adopted. So I'm like, when should we make the jump? ask the audience. So yeah. And I think Bobby said that you guys were using it you were using both from last month. Let me see here. My Zoom Q&A. All right.
Yeah, a lot of our apps have transitioned to 8. Some are still using 7, and then I think our big monolithic. Or like our monolith, I think is still on 7, but I don't remember off the top of my head because I just got back from vacation and I can't remember anything.
Yeah, it's still 7.
Vacation brain. It looks like we have a question from Catherine on YouTube.
Okay.
She says, "Thank you, Irene. Which kinds of metrics are more or less supportive of agile mindset? For example, measuring individual performance versus team performance."
Okay. Yes, nice question. Thank you, Kat. I would say, for me personally, I like velocity. I like measuring team velocity. I use that to measure their average velocity. That means if I want to measure the team's performance over time and to see if they're growing, I would take their past velocities, which is basically how much user story points, because we point those stories. I use the Fibonacci series for the pocket planning technique. with the Agronoma team. So we'll point those stories and put an actual time, estimated time that we can do those stories. And then at the end of the sprints, we add up those numbers to see how many we completed as a team during that sprint. Now, if we have more than 2 sprints, then we can do the average of that to see an average of what your team can do within a sprint. And if your velocity, your team's velocity keeps increasing, that is how you can measure the team's progress, right? I also use metrics like burn down charts. Burn down charts are actually measuring the work in progress of the team as we're going. We're measuring from that date to the end of the sprint, how much percentage of the work is left to be done. So you can measure that over sprints to see how many, how your team is progressing with time, how they're doing estimations, right? And then there's burn down up charts. And then for Kanban, I use cumulative flow diagram. And then I say the metrics for every Scrum Master or every Agilist is different based on what the team is doing. For individual people, if you go also to Jira or whatever tool you guys are using to document these things, what happens is there is a way to find out how many user stories a team member can do has done over sprints, and you can also find their average to see if they're progressing. I've coached team members aloud with pulling out their data and sitting down with them to discuss, because sometimes they're not producing as compared to their peers, right? Sometimes I've sat down with them to just discuss what are some of the things that you're facing that might make you less productive than you normally are. So you can measure a lot of stuff just by looking at the data that is recorded or how many user stories they're able to produce. So it just depends on the team, the Agilists, and what metrics their company is adopting, or what method they want to use.
Let us know, Catherine, if that answered your question there. Looks like we have another one here on Zoom. Israel asked, what are some red flags that warn you when a team is doing agile activities but not really improving agility, and how do you help?
Yes. Oh, when I'll use a real life example. I think some of the ways that agile has been introduced to organization, I think I mentioned that, is what can scare people out of it. So an organization is trying to transition to agile, and then they just show up and say, hey, we're going agile. And what that does is it does not only scare team members, it scares even employees, like managers. I've seen that working with one company. I just don't want to put them down, where I went in there, they said they had dysfunctional teams. When I went in there, I saw it was almost like they don't even have a team, because they had a group of people who were supposed to work on the project, but the whole company was scared of whatever was coming, because they've just told them that we're hiring Scrum Masters, we're hiring this Agile coach, they're going to come here and they're going to take us to Agile. And they were in a pure waterfall mindset where everybody was a silo doing their job. So coming in, you could already see that people were scared of you coming to take their job, almost like that. So managers were fighting this agile process. When Scrum Masters will have meetings in a room, in a conference room, managers will want to book that same room. It's like they didn't just understand it. So the way I see is, it forces these employees to start doing agile, start acting like we want to just do what to get by, instead of actually adopting a mindset with which they really enjoy, or where they're buying in. Does that make sense? There's something called a tipping point. So what we do as agile consultants is that if I come to the company, what I usually do is I do observation. Why do I observe? You just don't want to come into somebody's house and start arranging stuff. What I do is I always have a period of observation and just watch how they're doing things. And I'm looking at the culture, I'm looking at the skill sets of the teams, I'm looking at the mindset of the Scrum Masters, because not every Scrum Master was trained to really understand how to be agile, right? So some of them are also doing, so when I look at all of these things, then I will, how they run their stuff. Then I'll come back and then I'll sit down with my boss and I'll discuss with them. Then I'll create a roadmap. Most of the time, what I see is what I just mentioned, that this thing, they've just told them that it's coming to happen. So there's something called tipping point that us SPC are taught to do. Tipping point is having these people buy in instead of just pushing it on them. So I'll have my first introductory meeting. I usually start from top management, because if management doesn't understand what these teams are doing and how they're operating, then they cannot support them. So when I start from top, I run a workshop where I really talking to them about why agile over how we're doing things and what are the results we can get from being agile. Once I have them talk about the niceness of adopting a mindset where we're respecting one another, a fun environment, most of the time these people are like, oh, I didn't think it was like that. I thought, and then that's when you see people start getting interested. And that's what you want. You want them to be interested in adopting this mindset rather than thinking, how do you want me to do it so I can do it? Does that make sense? So now it becomes a mindset change thing. Then once the management gets it, then I train the teams. I train the Scrum Masters, I train the leaders, and then I train the teams themselves. And then I train the Scrum Masters now to start going. I'll overshadow them. I'll shadow them to see how they're implementing. And now when they have problems, we solve. I try to go to some of their meetings to just see how they're doing it. And then they come, I give them feedback to go implement, because what we're doing is empowering people to go empower people. So I can't just come there and do their job for them. I empower them to go do it. If a Scrum Master comes to me and say, hey, Miss Irene, I have this difficult developer, we'll discuss the details. I'll ask them to ask powerful questions like this, ask powerful questions to get to the root cause of the problem, and then get some answers. And then you can come back, we can discuss more, and then you go back. So I'm like the coach behind to make sure that they are going out there. And Agile is not a perfect methodology, right? We're not trying to be perfect here. We're trying to, as we're failing, learning from our mistakes and then moving on. So that's some of the things I do when I go to companies and I see that people are doing because they're forced to do because they could be fired versus being.
It's like, I don't know, I think there's a saying or something, adapt, improve, overcome. But it sounds like that you just really need to get buy-in from everybody, that like from management initially, and then from the other Scrum Masters, and then from the teams themselves, and then like once they're bought in and they see the value, then you can make adjustments from there.
Yes, I love that word. Show them the value. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Don't see any more questions, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time. The YouTube stream is on a delay, so yep. So
good questions though.
Yep. Those are good questions. I guess I could think of another one. How important are estimates?
Very, very important, but estimates should be like forecasts, like the weather, right?
Like literally an estimate. Yes. Like the meaning of the word.
Yes, it's the meaning of the word. Like, we're forecasting that it might rain today. If it doesn't rain, nobody's going to kill the weatherman, right? We're not killing the weatherman. It just means it didn't do what we wanted it to do, right? So the agile mindset says, changes can come. So even though we're estimating this, there's a lot of changes. We're living in a world where change is constant. So this is setting goals so that we can focus on something. Remember I told you about my life, like now I had some purpose and I had something to focus that distracted me from going the way I was going, aimlessly, hopelessly, just blaming everybody for my misfortune. So when you have a goal, you have a focus, then you're focused on going somewhere. Now, things will happen along that road, right? But because you have an end goal, you know that, okay, there are delays, but I'm going to get there. So that's what is very good with Agile, is that we're not trying to be perfect. We're estimating so that we can have some kind of goal so that we can focus as a team to go deliver.
Think of it as a goal. I like that. Yep. Awesome. Well, that was a lot of stuff. a master class on Agile. I'm definitely a big fan of Agile, and obviously you are too. It's in your company name. It changed your life.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Oh, the cake. So the next time you go to Chewy's, if you go to Chewy's, you can get tres leches there at Chewy's if you want to try
I have to
try
find.
it out. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying I have to find the spelling of that cake, but maybe when I go there, I'll see it on the menu.
Yeah, Ian says it's TRES
Okay.
space LECHES.
Oh, okay, that's good. I was kind of close, but that's
Yeah.
good. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah,
love-
it's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Bobby, Ben, and everybody, it was really nice to meet you guys. If you have more questions, bring them in, and I will be working on your time when the presentation has to end. But it's just basically question and answer now if you have questions.
Yep. Yeah, we're just hanging out for a bit, I think, and wrapping things up. And Chris and Ben are here, where they usually pop in at the end. How do I go to the participants thing? how does technology work? So Amy on YouTube says, thank you, Irene. Please consider doing a feature talk at She Plus Geeks Out. Haven't heard of that group before. But Amy, if you want to email Irene and send her a link to that, that'll be good.
Thank you, Amy. Send me an email and then I can talk to you more about that. And the one thing I don't do with Agile is I don't ask to be paid to talk about Agile because it's my way of giving back. If I can help somebody with that, I would love to. If I can encourage somebody, I would love to. So I don't charge for speaking about Agile because it's not something I go study to go and speak. I just speak. So I think that because it comes free, I'll give it free too. So
You got to pay it forward.
Yes, definitely.
That's what these meetups are all about for sure. So thank you again for speaking. It was great to hear your story and how your journey here to Austin. I'm glad you're here. And we'll definitely invite you out to our in-person events now that you've given a talk, so you can meet the rest of the members. I think that would be fun.
That would be awesome. I love networking. So some of you add me on LinkedIn so we can connect.
Thanks again, Irene. It was really great having you here, and that was a really powerful story, and I really appreciate. It's really cool how some people say, like, some people will talk about Agile, like, yeah, Agile changed my life, but it, like, for you, it's like it literally changed your life, like, seriously. So that's a really cool story.
Thank you very much, Irene. Very inspiring to hear your background and how you got here.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Henry.
Thank you, Ben.
See, the whole team's here.
Made it.
All right, guys. I'm gonna stop recording. All right. I don't know how to stop recording. I guess I just end it. That's how I stop recording. All right. Well, yeah, definitely check out the link, and if you're interested in giving a talk. Oh, somebody figured it out.
There it is.
I
Good
got
job.
it. I had
Good
two different
work.
buttons to do it, so I figured I would just do it. I didn't think it would interrupt you, but there you go.
No, yeah, the voice is a new thing. Did you guys hear the voice too? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So you can't be recorded without your knowledge, I guess. So that's probably a security feature.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Security is a good thing. Security is important. Cool. Yeah, so I think we're still thinking about July. So if you guys are anyone on the call interested in giving a talk for Merge PHP, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear your story and your thoughts on something related to PHP in our profession. So we're definitely open to new talk. So yep.
I only gave away one of the 3 JetBrains licenses so far. So if anybody's still listening and interested, remember, email me, chris@atlantaphp.org, and we'll get you fixed up. Otherwise, I'll just keep pushing them next time around. So we'll get rid of them.
And it's like the data grip is really great too. And there's some other ones if you want to learn Python or something, like, I think you can use it for anything, right?
Yeah, any of their tools. A lot of people use PHP Storm, but PyCharms or Python editor. There's even a Go IDE. It might be Golang, might be the name of that one. I could be wrong, but yeah, any of the JetBrains tools is eligible. And like I said, you can add it to your current subscriptions. If you already have a license, you can just tack on a year to it. So it's pretty good.
In my writing the PHP ops, I was reading, and now there is apparently a Kubernetes IDE, like that exists now. I'm like, oh, cool.
Is that like just a YAML IDE, or does it actually like interface with the CLI?
It interfaces with the CLI, and I think you can visualize your nodes and stuff from the thing. So I mean, I haven't messed with it much, but yeah.
That's cool. I also feel like I could probably use a YAML editor, which is very sad, but true.
Yeah. Like Ansible's in YAML. There's just like so much YAML now.
It would be nice to have a dashboard instead of having to use like kubectl commands and stuff, but
yeah. Did Sublime, I've been kind of like doing a lot of like YAML stuff in Sublime, and I ended up buying or upgrading to the version 4. It does an okay job. It's good for like, it launches fast, like that's the nice thing about having like your the fast editor versus the full IDE. But yeah.
I'm still Sublime too. So
What was like Sublime 2 is kind of like the thing that was kind of before that was like text edit, or not TextMate. Like, so many IDEs or editors.
yeah, I guess Sublime 2 for me was like, oh, that's great. I don't need
It
more.
works.
Right? Yeah, it's like it's a very small editor. It's what I want.
Yeah.
is 3 too big, or you just haven't moved to it yet, or is it not like stable yet or something?
I just have zero incentive to move.
If it works, it works. So just FYI, so they did change the license on 4, and I think it's it's not every year, but it's not as generous as the version 3 license was, because they spent like 11 years making 4 or something, like in between versions, or something crazy. 7 years, or I don't know. It was a long time between major versions. It's not as bad as like you have to pay every year kind of thing, but yeah. I think we should do like a Laravel talk or something. We got to hunt down been a lot of changes in Laravel.
Yeah, it was their 10-year anniversary too this week.
Yeah. July. Let's make it happen.
Is Jeffrey Way available?
Yep. yeah, yeah, I'm sure we can find someone to talk about Laravel.
We could probably get Taylor. I'll reach out to Taylor and say.
I was going to say, especially with a multi-group group, you might be more interested in doing something like that. But we'll start at the top and work our way down. If he can't, then we'll figure out who's next. Right?
Yeah, but you don't tell them that they're second best. You just
yeah.
I mean, I don't think they'd mind coming in second to Taylor, right? But
yeah.
maybe fourth. You don't tell them they're fourth.
Yeah.
Taylor did speak at Laravel Austin, so it's not unheard of for him to give user group talks. If schedules line up and whatnot, and maybe things have changed for him. That was a number of years ago, like when 5 just came out or something. That long ago. So yeah. Well, cool. I hope you guys have a good rest of your June. Things have been crazy busy.
And now everybody's like using up the vacation that they couldn't use last year. So it's like everyone's out of the office. It's impossible to get anything done.
Yeah, I had a short week the past like 2 weeks, and I feel like, I don't know, feel out of it completely.
Yep. Things are getting back to normal, but it does not feel like getting back to normal.
I think for the most part, we're loving working at home now. I don't want to pay any more gas bills. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was telling you this afternoon. I was like, I can't stand traffic. It's like the number one thing. You just waste so much time. It would be better if like everything was self-driving or something, but we're not there yet. Like. So yeah.
Well, I know I live right next to the commuter rail goes right by my house, and that's been a lot more busy the last couple of weeks than it was previously. So I guess like more and more people are commuting back into Boston.
I don't know if we'll ever get a rail system here in Austin. They were talking, or there was some talk about possibly doing like an elevated rail, or like a
monorail.
Yeah, monorail, like Simpsons or something, right? Or the Chicago has an elevated metro, but yeah.
I thought Austin had some kind of like limited light rail system.
Yeah, it goes from the northwest to southeast, and there's like not a whole. It doesn't go to a lot of parts of the city, so yeah, your options are limited. It's better than Houston. Houston's rail is only downtown. It like goes from one side of downtown to the other side of downtown, and you're like, okay.
I could have walked.
Yeah.
That's cool. Did Ian used to live on the rail there, right? I think I remember that being like the reason he chose that apartment one time.
Yeah, pretty close. I think, or near the bus or something. We'll have to ask Ian when he's on video. Irene, are you testing out the?
No, I'm not. I know how to use that. Anyways, I wanted to just officially thank you guys for inviting me. I really enjoy you guys' company. My husband and I have to go to dinner. Unfortunately, restaurants close at 9. I don't know why, but they do. So we're trying to catch Hop Dotty and get some.
Oh, I love that place. Yeah.
I love it, and get some margarita on ice, and then come back. So I want to make it before they close in an hour. So I just want to appreciate you guys and thank you guys for what you're doing. You know, education is the key, and it worked for me. I see you guys are giving back, and I really appreciate. And I'm honored to be part of talking to you guys, and I'm honored and very, very humbled that you guys invited me to speak. So I don't take that for granted. So hopefully meet you guys soon.
Awesome. That sounds good, Irene. Well, thank you again. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'll see you all on Slack. Sounds like we have some things to talk about.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks
take
everybody else
care.
who came and still hanging on this long. Appreciate you
Yeah.
being with us.
Yep. All right.
We'll
Talk
see
y'all
you next
soon.
month.